right, it's everybody's favorite topic. Who will be calling the signals for the Miami Dolphins and the future of the Aqua and Orange under center? And we all know about the narrative around Tua Tagovailoa. I have been loud, I have been constant, I have been steadfast in my belief of Tua, and nothing's changing. Take a look at the bottom there, 2009 to 2019. Yep, that's 10 years, one winning season. But since drafting Tua Tagovailoa, the Dolphins have had 4 straight winning seasons. And save it, I've heard every argument. He can't win the big game, no playoff wins. I've heard all of them. And don't worry, buckle up, dial it in. We're going to break it all down, starting with what the boss had to say about Tua Tagovailoa and his pending contract situation. As a reminder, Tua will be the Dolphins optioned him for his 5th year of that rookie contract, and as of now, he would be playing on that 5th year of his rookie contract. But we know that Chris Grier, the Dolphins front office, and Tua Tagovailoa and his people are working on a new contract. Chris Grier said we've stayed in touch with his agent, had good conversations throughout the year. The goal is to have him here long term. So what does that all look like? Well, here's a look at Tua's current contract. He's set to make $23.2 million in that 5th year that I talked about. But if you restructure him, it's actually going to help the salary cap situation and could as much as $10 million, depending on the deal, lower that cap hit with the restructuring of a deal. That would also give the Dolphins the flexibility to perhaps franchise tag someone else, hint Christian Wilkins, and be able to keep him on the roster for another year. So, with that said, there's a lot of conversation to be had about Tua Tagovailoa and what he means to this team. And again, it's everybody's favorite discussion topic because it seems like every video we do, there's always a comment on it. So let's ask Tua himself, what does he think? Earlier this month, he was quoted saying, "I believe that will happen in regards to a contract extension." So good news there if you're in the Tua camp like I firmly am. Here's one thing I can promise and I can guarantee, that when some news happens with Tua Tagovailoa, maybe it's a new contract or maybe it's something crazy, you never know, you don't want to miss out. So make sure you've subscribed to the channel as we continue to grow on Dolphins Today. You don't want to miss a single thing, especially as it relates to the pending contract conversations with Tua Tagovailoa. Now, in this conversation, you got to take inventory on where Tua was as a quarterback in 2023. Led the NFL in passing, not bad. Second most yards per attempt, only behind Brock Purdy, who, oh yeah, by the way, is playing in the Super Bowl. Also not bad. Third in completion percentage, nearly 70%. Very good. And the 3rd best quarterback rating. Touchdown passes were tied for the 5th most. Now, again, I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not a genius. I'm not Vince Lombardi, but I think that's pretty damn good, and the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And everybody that wants to ship Tua off, I'd love to hear your ideas for your replacements. So I'm going to ask you this question, keep it pretty simple. Do you want Tua to be the Dolphins quarterback in 2024? Type Y for yes or N for no. And I know what the naysayers are going to say. He didn't beat any good teams, but that's a part of the conversation as well. So I respect that opinion. And again, we are going to evaluate some different options at quarterback. But let me be clear of one thing. Me, Jake Patrick Flanagan Reitma, yeah, Tua is my guy, and I believe he will be the guy leading the Miami Dolphins in 2024. But because I believe in maybe humoring you all or having these fun conversations and discussing what the other possibilities are, let's go ahead and break down some possible Tua Tagovailoa replacements, starting with the free agent quarterback himself, Kirk Cousins, a proven veteran in the National Football League, an accurate passer that, again, would fit Mike McDaniel's offense. I will give you that. Now, he is coming off that torn Achilles that he suffered back in Week 8 at Lambeau Field against the Green Bay Packers. But there's a connection with Mike McDaniel as the organization that drafted Kirk Cousins, the then Washington Redskins, now Washington Commanders, before that Washington Football Team. We'll just say Washington from hence on forward to save everybody the confusion. You get the idea. Spent some time with Mike McDaniel in Washington, and since has gone on to put together quite the career. Look at the numbers. 150 games played, 270 touchdowns compared to 110 interceptions. Well done. And you also have to look at the trajectory of Kirk Cousins. Seems to get better and better every single year, like a fine wine. Now, you read The Athletic, and you've got anonymous NFL executives talking about the Miami Dolphins, saying they should explore the idea of bringing Kirk Cousins in. Check this out. And again, it's from an anonymous NFL executive saying, if you were the Miami Dolphins, I would be exploring Tua. We can win games with him. Probably not winning a championship. With Kirk Cousins, we can win games. Also goes on to say, probably not winning a championship, but our resources are better spent on Cousins plus draft picks than they are on just Tua. So very interesting because, again, I'm not going to call that opinion crazy. After all, it's an NFL executive. But chime on in the comments, who do you want leading the Miami Dolphins in 2024? If it's what I believe, Tua Tagovailoa, type TT, or for Kirk Cousins, go ahead and type KC. Either way, let your voice be heard and let me know down in the comments. Now, we're going to continue to break this down because there's other options than just Tua or Kirk Cousins. We'll tell you what those are next. But first, I want to give a huge shout out to today's presenting sponsor. So glad to have Mando on board. You got to go to shopmando.com and look. I know New Year's resolutions are a popular thing in January, but I'll tell you what, smelling good and smelling your best, utilizing the best hygiene is a great option no matter what month it is. So whether your New Year's resolution was hitting the gym or overall better hygiene or maybe just vowing to keep things cool and fresh below the belt, Mando, the whole body deodorant, has got your back and your front. So if you suffer from stinky feet, stinky pits, or even a stinky package, yuck, Mando is doctor-developed, clinically proven to block odor all day and control it for up to 72 hours so you can be bulletproof and be yourself, knowing the peace of mind of 72-hour protection and odor control because you deserve the best in 2024, a year of revolutionary, groundbreaking acidic formula that works on your pits, package, feet, and beyond. So say goodbye to last year's stink and upgrade to a whole new level of personal care with Mando whole body deodorant so your pits and everything else will smell your absolute best. And oh yeah, the good news, what you've all been waiting for, that discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling body deodorant on the market. $5 off your starter pack with our exclusive code CHAT. And don't worry, that $5 equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use that code CHAT, C-H-A-T, at shopmando.com. That's S-H-O-P, Mando, M-A-N-D-O.com, shopmando.com for $5 off that starter pack. I'm telling you what, you won't regret it. It's over 40% savings. And what do we always tell you here? We love you and we care about you. So we'll put that link right in the comments and description of today's video. It's shopmando.com using promo code CHAT. All right, the Dolphins' next quarterback. We can all agree that there's a discussion to be had here. I gave you Tua as my number one option. Kirk Cousins is out there as a free agent. What about the proposition of drafting a quarterback? Because there are some quarterbacks that maybe might fall through the cracks to that later first round and even maybe late second round. So let's break it down for some potential draft quarterback targets. And again, I think the Combine will tell us a lot about these potential first-round quarterbacks, but let's get it started with Bo Nix, one of the most accurate passers in all of college football, played at first Auburn, then transferred to Oregon, where he really broke out. His father played in the NFL, and when you look at his body of work, the stats really do jump out to you. 45 touchdowns compared to 3 interceptions, second most accurate passer in the history of college football, and a lot of draft experts will tell you he might be available with that number 21 overall pick. So perhaps you set the future of the franchise up with the rookie quarterback in Bo Nix. Certainly a conversation to be had there. Now, the same can be said about J.J. McCarthy. That's right, reigning national champion J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback for the Michigan Wolverines, led the Wolverines to a national championship, and his numbers not nearly as impressive. He wasn't asked to do as much as a guy like Bo Nix, but certainly possesses first-round talent. And Jim Harbaugh, his college coach, who is now the head coach for the Los Angeles Chargers, said he should be the first quarterback taken. I, for one, do not believe that, but if he's still around at 21, he's dynamically athletic, one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the draft, and possesses the ability to be a first-round pick given his accomplishments in college. So an appealing option if he's available there at 21. But based on a lot of the mock drafts that you read, I don't necessarily think he'll be available at 21. So it might take a trade to move up if you want J.J. McCarthy as your guy. Now, last but certainly not least, Michael Penix Jr. A lot of conversation around him. In my opinion, I think he should have won the Heisman. No disrespect to Jaden Daniels, because statistically, Jaden Daniels was way, way better, but I think Michael Penix Jr. got his team to the national championship, and that should count for something, and was one of the most outstanding players in college football. Now, the thing with Michael Penix Jr. is you look at that semifinal game against Texas, he was shooting up draft boards, and then in the national championship game on a big stage against Michigan, he did not really elevate his level of play. So that might have some college scouts, or NFL scouts rather, concerned. Also, there's some injury history there, almost even retired from football because of all the injuries. So one more thing to have in the back of your mind if he were to slip to you at 21 and maybe even into the second round, because he's another wild card that has kind of been dancing up and down draft boards as we progress here. So the option of drafting a quarterback early, in my opinion, brings you to Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, or Michael Penix Jr., and I want you to pick one to draft if you're the Miami Dolphins and you want to replace Tua Tagovailoa. And again, let me be clear, I don't want to do that, but hey, there's a discussion to be had about potentially the Dolphins moving up to draft a quarterback in the first round, and I think these would be the three options, because you're not moving up to number one to get Caleb Williams. Drake May and Jaden Daniels also going to be too much to move up to get to, so that leaves you with these three, and again, none of them I'm particularly excited enough about to really mortgage the future of the Dolphins organization. Now, if Michael Penix, this is the big if, Michael Penix Jr. falls all the way to number 53 and is still around, maybe that's tempting. But again, that's a big if, and even then, there's obviously a reason 52 other picks passed on the guy to make him available at 53. So that's the only caveat to add to the conversation of drafting a quarterback. Now, one more free agent that is particularly intriguing, given he's coming off his best season as a pro, Baker Mayfield. Now, let me again say first and foremost, I think he will re-sign with the Buccaneers. There's a lot of exciting momentum around that organization. They really overachieved when you think about the fact that they got to the playoffs. They won a playoff game and beating the Philadelphia Eagles before losing to the Detroit Lions. And Baker Mayfield really played his best in 2023. Now, you look at the stats, and it's a guy that maybe warrants the conversation to be had about investing in him. He's really reinvented himself after struggling so much after being the number one overall pick to the Browns and then bouncing around to the Rams, now to the Buccaneers. And when you think about the fact that his career seems to be trending up, yeah, there's a conversation to be had here. But interestingly enough, with Tampa Bay, there's a lot to consider here as well. As a team, they're coming off one of their better seasons, and Baker Mayfield coming off his best season. But with success means a lot of changes in the coaching staff, because you have David Canales moving on to Carolina to be the head coach there. And so you have the new offensive coordinator in Tampa Bay and Liam Cohen. And Baker Mayfield has been very public saying that hire might impact his decision on whether or not to re-sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the fact that Baker played with Cohen in 2022 as a member of the Rams, I think would point to him re-signing with the Buccaneers. But nonetheless, an intriguing conversation to have. So, let me know what you think. Grade the idea of the Dolphins pursuing Baker Mayfield. Do you think it's an A-plus idea? Full steam ahead, go for it. Or if you're like me, it's more like a D or an F and not really something that the Aqua and Orange in the front office should do. Either way, let me know down in the comments. We want to have your voice heard here on Dolphins Today. And just in case I haven't made it clear enough, I am firmly in the Tua camp. This is a guy that can lead the Miami Dolphins to success. This is a guy that deserves to have a new contract, that deserves to be treated and regarded as a premier upper echelon quarterback, given his ability to be accurate with the football and of course, a quick release, a great deep ball, all fitting into Mike McDaniel and Frank Smith's scheme. I believe in Tua Tagovailoa. And so much to the fact that I think he deserves that 4-year, $180 million contract. Let Tua know, let his people know that you believe in him to lead this Miami Dolphins offense. You believe in him as the future of the franchise. Make 100 of that million guaranteed, and let's go to work in 2024 with Tua Tagovailoa leading the way.